Yo, what's up, all you burner stoners and potheads? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
I'm better now that we got it started, right?
Hey, all you vipers out there. Hopefully you're smoking some big fat doinks while you're listening to the show. And Mrs. Weedman and I are about to get normal. And we are smoking LA Wedding Pop, grown by our friends, Ralph Wiley, who sponsored our table a week ago for a great sesh over at Brunch of Stoners. So thanks, Ralph Wiley, for always throwing to the cause. And LA Wedding Pop, it is a pleasing daily driver, euphoric vanilla cake flavor enjoyment. 26% THC in the crosses wedding cake and Triangle Kush BX2. And we like this strain a lot, and everybody that got to try this strain really enjoyed it. And they grow such phenomenal weed here. And if you have not met Ralph Wiley, they're two phenomenal growers and what they do. And just they're a tag team duo. One grows, one does all the trimming. One grows, one does all the making. One grows, one does all the trimming and bagging and all that stuff. So they're great people, phenomenal crew and what they do. So go check them out at some of the local cannabis events and stuff like that and get yourself some Ralph Wiley. Their T-shirts are great too. So Ralph Wiley, thank you so much for throwing to the cause. Mrs. Weedman?
Mr. Weedman?
How's that LA Wedding Pop?
Maybe I'll give you some.
Oh, maybe. Why don't you pass it over by trying to put that out?
I'll tell you what, beeswax is great. If you don't use like a beeswax coated hemp twine to light your joints, you should. It's really great.
Yes.
You're not getting all the butane from the lighter.
Yes.
But they come in a variety of like thickness, the hemp. And this thicker one sucks. It never wants to go out. It's really hard to put it out.
Yeah. The last one we used, a little twine, the ball of twine.
Yeah,
was
we had
great.
a ball,
nice
and it was a real thin piece of hemp.
Yes. My joint rolling skills lately, what do you think?
Well, yeah.
I've been getting better. And also,
like these, if you were around and alive in the 90s and the 80s, there was, well, they still make them, right?
Yeah.
Virginia Slims.
Or Capris.
And Capri cigarettes. So we have a little joint roller thanks to Ralph Wiley.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes little Capri smokes.
Yep.
Mr.
Weedman has been rolling joints versus stuffing joints the last couple weeks since Ralph Wiley gave me that little nifty gadget, and this is my third nifty gadget, and this one is the best.
It's the best. Winner.
It is winner chicken dinner. This one is so phenomenal. I actually now enjoy, like, really, like, you and I now fight over who's going to roll a joint. And you roll a joint yourself.
I do.
But you've been using this too.
It's so nice.
It's so nice. It's so easy. Grind, put in, roll.
It's a nice size too for a personal joint.
Yes.
I could smoke a whole one.
Oh yeah, it's great. Yeah. That LA Wedding Pop is delicious. All their strains are so good. So but we had some losses in our lives in the last 10 days. Some friends of Mrs. Weedman and I have passed away, and one was, I would say, you were friends with her for 25 years. You were PTA
basically
parents.
We were PTA moms together.
Yes, together.
And her two of her three boys were in between our kids' ages. So we were friends all through grade school, high school, and beyond, and did things socially outside of PTA. But she moved to Michigan. Her husband passed away suddenly about 6 years ago, and she moved to Michigan. And unfortunately, she had gotten sick and then had a medication, it's my understanding, and then developed this like autoimmune response or this rare reaction to a medication. And basically it was just destroying her body from the inside out. It was affecting her organs, primarily her skin. She would just like blister, her whole body would blister, and then all that skin would peel like a burn victim over and over and over. And she was hospitalized and out of the hospital and so weak and frail. And unfortunately, she passed away and left behind her three very young adult sons that are all right around their 30s. And
she was a hoot.
And oh my gosh,
partier.
Mary. She was the life of the party. If you didn't know her, she knew you. And if she didn't know you, you felt like you were best friends after you had a conversation with her. Yeah. She could talk to anybody. They joked at her funeral services that she could talk to a wall and make friends with it. Everyone was her friend. You know, she just was phenomenal. She was an awesome dancer. I have one really fun memory of her at a PTA function. It was like a PTA reunion, you know, maybe 5 or 6 years after the kids were out of grade school. And all the moms were together at a bar and drinks were flying and everybody was having a good time. And she came out of nowhere. She came out of like the quiet, like the private party room into the bar where the music was. She just kind of like pushed through the wall and like rolled out onto the dance floor, like somersault after somersault, got up and just was like boogieing. She was great. She could belly dance, like literally belly dance. She had the little beaded skirt. And she had the little hand chimes, and she could freaking, wow. Mary was cool. So rest in peace, Mary. Yeah.
And then we had a very good friend of ours that have lived on this block together where we live for 25 years, and they moved in about a year after us, and they had kids around our age.
Their
2
kids
boys.
are our kids' age.
Yeah, and
within
they
months
literally from kindergarten all the way till 8th grade, they all hung out together. The 4 of them, they were pals. Brought them to you know, the local pools together, hanging out in each other's backyards, just always together. And there's some great pictures of their kids and our kids, and their father passed away suddenly.
Our neighbor Jack.
Yes, our neighbor Jack. And I've been friends with Jack for a very long time, and we would have lots of good conversations and talks and some hangouts. And he liked good beer, and I liked good beer, and I got him into drinking a lot of good beer, and that took his craft beer road to the heights, and he became a lover of craft beer, and we would always talk about beer. And the crazy thing about it is he knew I used cannabis, and he is a former DEA agent. Yeah. And but a tremendous human, one of the nicest people you could ever meet. Always had a smile on his face, always asked you how you were doing, always took care of. If you needed something, he was there. And his wife is an amazing human being together, kind of like Mrs. Weedman and I, you know, married for a long time, 2 kids, just a steady household.
Kind of our age. Yeah. Their kids are our age. We live on the same block.
Yeah.
We've just, our lives mirror each other in a lot of ways. And
and just some tremendous people. Yeah. And between Jack and Mary, and rest both of your souls, and rest in power and rest in peace. And I know there's a big party going up in heaven right now with lots of craft beer and lots of belly dancing.
Yes, for sure. It's been a year.
Yeah.
I don't know about anybody else, but it's been a year. A lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of good people passed away. And so I was doing a lot of reflecting. I took a drive the day I found out that Jack passed away, and I said I was going to run some errands. And I didn't have to, but I did, and I just needed to go for a drive, and I threw on a bunch of music to help soothe my brain at that moment. And a lot of crying from some of the songs I was playing, and one of our favorite songs, Mrs. Weedman's Eyes, calls "Last Breath" by Pearl Jam, and oh my God, the tears came rolling down the eyes. And so to reflect on friendships, you know, and human beings who you get close to in your life, family, friends, you know. It means something to you, the memories that you have and you hold on to, and they make you laugh, they make you cry, they'll make you laugh, they'll make you mad, they'll make you cry, and you ask why it happens and how somebody that's 54 years old can all of a sudden just pass away. You don't ever know. You never know when it's going to happen. You said this, Mrs. Weedman, the other day. You never know when it's your time. You could be the healthiest person ever. You can be 100% on everything you can do to help not die, but we've seen people.
These were 2 really healthy people.
Yes, and
they like to have their drinks and have their social time, but they were healthy people.
They were healthy, bike riders,
cycling,
runners,
bike riding, running, like out, active all the time.
Didn't Jack do a triathlon? Or
and he does cycling, and he does all sorts of stuff, and he plays sports. Yeah. He's always
very active. Very active.
Mary was a cyclist. She loved to cycle. She was a speed walker. She was a speed talker. Her heart rate was probably fantastic.
She went from 0 to 1,000 pretty quick to super speed pretty quick, light speed. Yeah. And so when I was driving around that day, I said, you know, I just kept on saying, what is this like? Why are we all here? Is it here just to grind every day, to just grind for somebody else's dream? Meanwhile, you're just grinding and just barely making it by. But meanwhile, you watch people travel the world and get to do fun stuff that you wish you were doing and what you want to do in your life. It might not be that same person that what they're doing, but you want to do something with your life. and you want to have some fun and you want to enjoy and you want to, like my brother always says, get lost living. My brother Jim, Bigfoot as we call him, his main thing is get lost living. And we all should. Because if you're going to not get to living, you're going to get to dying, and you don't know when you're going to pass. Nobody can tell you that. You know, they can predict maybe with some people who might have ailments, you might have 6 weeks to live. But I've heard that before, and that person lived 10 more years.
Right.
So you just never know. So here's what you all need to, this is from one burner, stoner, pothead to all you out there that listen to this show. And if not, pass this and share this along. You need to live for you. Do not live for anybody else but you. You need to stop worrying about all the bullshit that doesn't matter, because all it does is bring you down. You need to not live for your career. You need to make sure your career lives for you, because if you focus so much on that, you're going to miss out on what's really important. I don't believe, and if you believe in God or you don't believe in God, that's totally up to you. I do. I love you no matter what. Okay? We were all put on this earth to choose how we want to live. And that's the key. If you're going to live for a career and for a job, which just means to me just over broke, and you're going to struggle for the rest of your life, but never look at the good things. Anybody out there, no matter who you are, you can go live. It's sometimes you think it's hard, but sometimes just put the phone down and go enjoy a walk somewhere and look at nature. Go to the beach, save up some money and get in your car and go on a trip. Take some time to live and enjoy the moments. We were not put on this earth by the Creator, whoever you believe in, to sit here and work 75% of our life away. Listen, I'm 52 years old and I'm looking at this going, I might die tomorrow, or I might live. The average age of a man is 74 years. Right? That's the average age of a man. So basically, middle age is not 52 for me. Middle age is 38.
I've always laughed about that. Like, who decided middle age is 50?
No one, not many people live to 100.
Right. It's not middle age.
Why are we set to have to work until we're 65 to collect money that we put in when I want to live, when I'm not sick and I'm not tired and I don't have the energy? And I can't do the things I was able to do in my 20s, 30s, 40s, and maybe even 50s now, that I can sometimes feel the soreness a little bit quicker than I did in my 20s, 30s, and 40s. So you all have to understand something. I'm not only just speaking to you, I'm speaking to myself, because I have to learn to do this every day. And I am not, and I'm not going to live for somebody else's dream anymore. The only dreams I care about is Mrs. Weedman's dreams, because she's my wife, and my dreams. And I want to fulfill those dreams for the both of us, because they're important to us. Because if I die tomorrow, that means I didn't do anything that I actually really wanted to do. And if I get to live for another 25, 30 years, I'm going to do the best I can to live a fun-filled life, not have anybody tell me how to live my life, not have anybody tell me how to act, as long as it's respectful and I don't hurt anybody. I'm going to go out there and have fun and be the person that I always like to be. That fun guy that's sometimes obnoxious, sometimes an asshole, but always loves and shows kindness to people and never degrades or beats anybody down, because I want them to have just as much fun in life as I'm having. And that's why I think I always give out weed, because I know how much fun people have when they're on it, and they forget all the bullshit that's behind them for just that moment. That's why why do you give so much weed away? Why do you give so many out? Because I watch the enjoyment of people when they don't have to think about all the bullshit, because weed takes all the bullshit away. So if you don't listen to this show anymore and you forget about us, don't forget about this. Don't forget about what I just said for the last 3 minutes. Live for you and go fucking have some fun. Don't worry about your career. It'll be there. You do your work. Go home and then make your life enjoyable. Make it fun. Stop stressing. Because if you stress, it's a worry, and you're just going to die worrying and being stressed for the rest of your life. Be calm. Smoke some weed. Go have some fun. Tell the kids, man. I know some of you have families out there, and sometimes it's tough. Trust me, Mrs. Weedman and I used to eat pancakes at the last 3 days of every month for some years, because we didn't have enough money. And when she would say to the kids, we're having breakfast for dinner, the kids would be like, yay.
Yay.
And Mr. Weedman would be like, fuck, no protein. But you know what? Back then in my 20s and 30s and 40s, I didn't know this then. Then I just thought I had to raise my kids and I had to work. But if you explain to your kids that we're going to go live some life and we might have to go without the new fucking video game for a while because we want to go enjoy a vacation and look at some ocean or look at some mountains or go look at some animals or take a tour and just whatever your dreams are, instill that in them now. Get off the phones. It's tough. I know they're in our hands 24/7. We spend so much fucking time on them. Probably 1 full day a week. I could say we're probably on our phones. Maybe some people more. We watch what all these other people are doing on their phones, enjoying life and parachuting and sailboarding and surfing and skiing and climbing mountains and driving fast cars. Whatever. Going to games, sports, if that's what you like to do, and if you like to do this, do it. Stop watching what other people are doing on your fucking phone. Put the phone down, or take the phone with you, but shut everything down except for your camera so you have memories of all that shit. You know, not only just the memory in your mind is the most important thing, is that's what you're going to take with you when you go to wherever you lay to rest. Whatever your memories are, you're going to take them with you. So
I like pictures.
Huh?
I like pictures.
Yeah, take pictures, but get off your phones for a while. Stop worrying about who's going to be the next fucking president and if there's going to be wars around the world, because there are. And we've always lived this way. Some of you might forget. I grew up in the 80s and we were during the Cold War. We were always worried about if there was going to be a nuclear war. Well, now we're doing the same fucking thing. We're worrying about what's going on. And we need peace and love and kindness so we can all fucking just settle down and just go what God put us on this earth for. Not for fucking money and for gold and for fucking all this bullshit. 2 friends of ours passed away, and they're not going to be able to enjoy the rest of their life with their families and friends and their loved ones and themselves. Take this moment and move forward with your own life and write some shit down that you want to do and get them done. Ms. Weedman, got anything more?
No, I think you've covered it. I'm right there with you. You know, I have personal goals and big dreams that I want to achieve. And sometimes our kids will say, all you guys do is work, work, work. You got your jobs, you've got your side jobs, you got this, you're always going, going, going. Get out and live, go on a vacation. And that's the point of what we're doing right now, because we weren't smart enough to do it when we were young. So now we are trying to crank through our 50s so that we can retire and live. Having a chronic health issue gives you a different perspective on life too. You know, I'm fortunate that I am not terminal, but had the experience of thinking that I was after my diagnosis, and I can 100% agree with what you're saying. You know, I used to always envision that I'd be like my grandmas and live into my late 80s and 90s and still sit on the floor and read to the great-grandchildren. And I don't know that that's my future anymore. It's a big pill to swallow to think that. So even more on your take and the point that you're making, get out and live. I have to get out and live while I can, because I don't know what my life will look like in the future. And so we just really, I mean, it's all about perspective. What's really important? Stuff. Because at the end of the day, all the shit that you have,
can't take it with you.
You can't take it with you. And even if you could, what point is it? It's nice. Trust me, I like nice stuff.
Yes, you do.
I really like nice stuff. But I like nature better. I like fresh air and looking at the ocean and seeing a night sky. So much better. There's no piece of artwork that can compare. And
if you got to see the Northern Lights, it's
yeah,
a piece of nature that some people will never get to see. But if you got to see that, and there was some beautiful pictures of it, I saw people post. Once again,
so cool.
But if you got to go actually really see that and live that, it'd be an experience you never had before. Sorry, Mr. Weedman.
Yeah, no, it's just really. I think that if anything, the troubles that we're seeing, the dynamics, the anger, the divide that we're seeing in the world right now, is a shift. It's a really big shift in a forward moving snowball of energy that was the American life. And I think that, and really it's bigger than just America, but I'm saying as an American, consumerism, what you need to have, social media telling you that everyone's living better than you, even more than you thought before when we looked at magazines and we looked at commercials. Now it's like everyday people are doing this and this and this, and it's just flooding in your brain all day long, firing off all of these emotions and triggering all of these things. And we are just such a divided community, world, country. Everything is so divided, and it's not getting us anywhere. And hopefully we can get beyond this election or whatever this cycle that we're in, this shift and change that we're in, and we can come out realizing that our priorities got pretty fucked up, and all we do is work, and all we do is try to gain more money, and all we do is spend that money on stupid shit that really changes nothing. A little house that keeps you warm and dry and cool in the summer is no better than a giant house that does the same. It's doing its job. It's providing you a place to live. If we can come out of this better humans, if this shift becomes like a new dynamic of how we live, something's got to give, right? Something's got to give. Mm-hmm. We're living, most of us are living longer than our friends who just passed away. Mm-hmm. This is not normal to pass when you're 54 and 66.
Not anymore.
It's not supposed to be that way. And I think it's a lot of the world that we're experiencing right now that's making things like that happen. Our kids have more friends that have lost parents in their 20s and 30s than I've even experienced of people my own age. It's crazy. Something's got to give. So get out there, live.
Go have some fucking
Go have some fun.
Go enjoy.
Get rid of some shit.
Go enjoy life.
Lighten your load and go live some more.
There it is. This is Weedman at her finest. You ready to get the show started before I can't? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me.
That was a big unload.
I'll read.
Cheers, Mr. Weedman.
Salute, Mrs. Weedman. Love you.
Love you.
And that's a goal in my. I will never leave this house. I will never leave this house again without telling Mrs. Weedman I love her and giving her a kiss before bed. She's gonna get more kisses than she's ever known. She might get sick of them.
Sorry, gotta blow my nose.
She might get sick of them after a while, but she's gonna get lots of kisses and lots of hugs and lots of love and lots of telling her she's beautiful and lots of I loves you. And I hopefully if you have that person or that someone in your life, do the same.
Or say it to yourself.
Yeah.
Look in a mirror.
And tell yourself
and tell yourself that you love yourself.
Yeah, I do love myself.
Go figure.
I do love myself. I look at myself in the mirror going,
say it enough, you believe it.
Yeah.
Right?
Change is all in the mind.
Yeah.
Sometimes people need a little bit more help for that change.
Smoke some weed, stand in a mirror, and tell yourself you love yourself. You could do it. Weed will help you.
Ready to get the show started?
I'm ready.
Here's something cool. Marijuana enhances enjoyment of music. New study finds confirming what every stoner already knew.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Underscoring an anecdotal observation common among cannabis consumers, a group of researchers in Canada have released a new study indicating that marijuana can make music more enjoyable, concluding that the impact of cannabis on the auditory experience may overhaul enhanced compared to sober listening. Mm-hmm. Authors from Toronto Metropolitan University wrote in a reprint that the research highlights as profound yet idiosyncratic effects of cannabis and auditory experiences among experienced recreational cannabis users. And I practiced that fucking word too. The study provides a framework to understanding the complex interactions between cannabis, hearing, and musical experience. Participants were recruited through the university as well as flyers, 38 marijuana retailers around the Toronto. A total of 104 people completed an online questionnaire, 15 of which were interviewed further on hour-long individual Zoom calls. According to self-reported experiences, participants showed significantly higher levels of state music absorption while high compared to sober. Of survey respondents, 50% reported better hearing sensitivity after using cannabis compared to when sober. Effects of cannabis, sometimes your senses get heightened. Nose, taste, touch.
My hearing.
I'm
like a dog.
Yeah, she can hear like 5 miles away. I'm like, she's like, do you hear that? I'm like, no. Not at all.
I can hear someone breathing outside of our house. Like someone's outside.
18% reported worse hearing sensitivity and 30% reported no difference at all. A separate question found that 60% of participants said they felt cannabis affected their hearing generally. Listening to music was also the most popular selected activity that people said they did while high. 45% compared to videos, 38% podcasts, 9% silence, 4% radio segments, 2% other activities, and what's cool was the podcast, which is great. Researchers found that there was no significant difference, however, in terms of what genre of music people listen to while high compared to sober. I like a little bit of everything. I go from hip hop to 80s headbanger music to, if you look at my playlist, just what songs are in there, you'd be like, oh my God, what the hell are you listening to? There's some jazz, there's some blues,
a funny playlist.
There's some classical, there's some EDM, there's some fucking techno, there's just a little bit of everything. Because when I hear a song and all of a sudden it brightens my mood up, I'm like, oh, I got to put that in my liked. So I just keep on adding shit to my liked. I got Elvis Presley in there. Every song I enjoy, you know? So much of this report consists of qualitative responses and experts of interviews with the 15 participants who reported changes to cognitive processing, noting altered alternativeness, absorption, interperception of lyrics, memory, and critical analysis. When I'm not high, I just don't pay attention to music. It's like background noise. When I'm driving, because I don't smoke a lot when I drive long distance, I guess it is more just I don't really even hear anything. You do hear the background noise, and that's funny that says that. But one participant said, compared to when I'm high, it's like the only thing I can focus on. While participants commonly reported giving greater attention to auditory stimuli while high, some said the marijuana occasionally caused difficulties in allocation of attention, particularly in hourly overstimulating environments. Audio perception was also altered, with participants frequently reporting variations such as enhanced hearing sensitivity, new sound perspectives, and changes in audio-visual perception, rhythm, and timing. They described increased awareness and sensitivity of sounds and volumes, authors wrote, even when they said volume of the music remained unchanged. Participants also reported feelings of absorption or immersion in the music that was intensified while high. If I'm sober, I don't listen to the music or do anything else, one said. But when I'm high, I can definitely lie down and listen to music for a while. Others said that familiar songs often sounded new or different, or they catch different lyrics that they maybe not have heard or understood before. Because sometimes you hear a lyric, you think it's one word. That's happened to me so many times. Like so many lyrics, I thought it was one sentence, and it actually really wasn't. Because I went and looked at the lyric, and I'm like, oh, I was way fucking off. Or differently compared to when they were sober. I find when I'm stoned, I tend to focus a little bit more on the meaning behind the lyrics. I accidentally discovered some of the songs that I really like and Googled them later, and I'm like, that's actually about a really serious subject that I hadn't noticed before. I listen and dissect the lyrics a bit more when I'm high than I normally would. Individuals said cannabis and music together heighten memory recall, bringing to mind past memories that could be positive or negative. One reported nostalgic memories, while other reported past events that felt shameful. Yet others said they felt more able to make associations or connections when high that would otherwise be less apparent. I'm able to connect different things that I wouldn't normally connect. For music, that would be scales, rhythms, patterns, harmonies, and how these co-line together, one participant said. I found the ability to be critical think through cannabis and whether this was a major scale, or what kind of rhythms they were playing. Generally, the reflections fell into four main themes, the author wrote: altered cognitive processes and reinterpretations, auditory perpetual effects from non-sensations and sensory overload, emotional openness, sensitivity, and regulation, and number 4, embodiment, immersion, and out-of-body disassociation. These themes collectively highlight a general enhancement and appreciation for music, they explain, as well as increased musical reward, such as enhanced rhythmic precipitation and the inclination to physically respond to rhythms. There was, however, considerable individuals in cannabis experiences, the team added. For instance, some participants may have experienced sensory overload, while others reported clarity, auditory stream segments while high. The new report says its findings align with those going back decades, citing prior research as far back as 1971. But they said their work represented the first mixed methods retrospective examination of the influence of cannabis on hearing and music, and provides novel insights that highlights the numerous and significant impacts that cannabis imparts on the auditory experiences of recreational cannabis use. It's apparent that enhancement of audio experiences through cannabis warrants further exploration through experimental studies. Great, get high and listen to music. I want to be your test subject on that. And other examples of science digging into generations-old marijuana questions. A recent federally funded study identified exactly what happens in the brain after using marijuana that appears to cause the munchies. We talked about that. Researchers at Washington State University published the findings in the journal Scientific Reports, revealing how cannabis activates a specific cluster of neurons in the hypothalamus region of the brain that stimulates appetite. The hunger-inducing effects of marijuana have been well understood by consumers, but now the results of a new animal research offers insights that could help lead to the development of targeted therapeutics for people with conditions such as anorexia and obesity. As for music, a separate study published a few years ago explored the interactions of music and psilocybin. Assisted therapy and undermined conventional wisdom that classical music is somehow more effective in that setting. Sometimes when I've done mushrooms, music is just so intense, but everything's intense. If you take it for microdosing, just it's a different story. But when I've taken it to really take it to get the full effects of it, man, when you're in a show or a concert, it is fucking like it's, especially if you take good mushrooms. Western classical music has long been assumed to be the standard in psychedelic therapy. Researchers wrote in the study published in the American Chemical Society, Journal of Pharmacology and Translation Science, the present data challenges the notion that Western classical music, or for what the matter, any specific genre of music, is and superior form of music to support psychedelic therapy, at least for all people at all times. Analyzing a 10-person trial involving the use of psilocybin therapy to help people quit smoking tobacco, the Johns Hopkins team compared sessions featuring classical music with this involving overtone basic music featuring instruments such as gongs, Tibetan singing bowls, and among others. Although we found no significant differences between the two musical genres studied here, the team wrote several trends suggested that the overtone-based playlist resulted in somewhat better outcomes and was preferred by a larger portion of small samples of participants. As the study and the author wrote on social media, apparently classical music is not such a scared cow for psychedelic therapy. Speaking of mushrooms, I read an article. We don't talk a lot about psychedelics because Mrs. Weedman doesn't really do them, and I have in the past. I don't do them that much anymore. But with mushrooms, I mean, a lot of states coming up are trying to vote it in for decriminalization or for therapeutic use. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. In this article, mushrooms are 15 to 20 times more stronger than they were 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. So just like anything, learn to microdose and get your endocannabinoid system opened up to new things. Because if you go and you eat 3 grams, you're going to be tripping balls, especially if you're a newbie. And 3 grams is my max. I know my limit. But start off with a half gram. Because like we said, just with edibles and just with weed, you can always move forward. You can never go back. So just remember that.
Is a gram like a mushroom? How do you know?
You weigh it.
So it's just by weight?
Yeah. And most chocolate bars now are 1 gram doses.
The whole bar?
No. The little chunk. There's like a full 100 milligram bar, but each one is or 50 milligram bar, and each bar is one. Could be one. Right. Some people might make them 5 milligrams, but the chocolate bars are the best. Because eating straight mushrooms suck. Because they don't taste good. They're not like your regular eating mushrooms.
I've seen people eating them.
Yeah, they're terrible. Some people I know love them. I have a buddy of mine that just had to put it in a peanut butter sandwich. It's the only way he can eat it. Or you can make a tea out of them, So just be careful. Just like anything, especially when you're first starting out. Learn your body and what it likes. We've talked about a couple shows with women getting in trouble while pregnant using cannabis, and this is another one. So we just, as more information, like we always said, so hundreds of women are being prosecuted for using marijuana or other drugs while pregnant, following Roe's repeal, report says. Ms. Weedman, tell us about it.
This is a big one. A new report from a reproductive rights organization finds that pregnancy-related prosecutions are at an all-time high in the wake of the 2022 Supreme Court decision that ended the nationwide right to abortion. And by far the most common criminal allegation facing pregnant people is that they used marijuana or other drugs during their pregnancies. The report from the group Pregnancy Justice identified 210 criminal cases filed against people for conduct associated with pregnancy, pregnancy loss, or birth during the first year following the overturned Roe v. Wade. Of those, 203 cases, or nearly 97%, involved allegations of substance use during pregnancy. Drug use was the sole allegation in 133 of the cases. Some women are even being prosecuted for medical cannabis use as registered patients under state law. Marijuana was the second most commonly cited drug in the court charges, following methamphetamines, which they don't compare, but again, we don't really know how cannabis can affect a fetus. Following methamphetamines, with allegations of cannabis use appearing in 86 of the 210 cases. In more than a third of those cases, THC use was the only allegation underlying the criminal charges. It is significant that in 86 cases, the police or prosecution alleged that the defendant took some form of THC during her pregnancy. And in 31 of those 86 cases, the only allegation supporting prosecution was THC use, the new report says. Even more startling, in 5 of those cases, the court file included statements that the defendant had a medical marijuana card, indicating that she was being charged with taking legally prescribed medication. Moreover, Pregnancy Justice said in a press release about the report, in the vast majority of cases, the charges brought against the pregnant person did not require any proof of harm to the fetus or baby, but merely a perceived risk of harm. Okay. The report, Pregnancy as a Crime, a preliminary report on the first year after Dobbs, looks at cases from June 24th of 2022 to June 23rd of 2023. Authors say the research is ongoing and will result in additional reports in coming years. While the number of pregnancy-related prosecutions has risen since the Dobbs ruling, the report emphasizes that targeting pregnant people with drug-related charges has a history stretching back decades. As drug use patterns have changed, pregnancy prosecutions have shifted from targeting the use of crack cocaine to focusing on the use of methamphetamines, amphetamines, marijuana, and opiates, the study said. Authors said the project sought to explore how criminal laws would be used to prosecute pregnant people in the wake of Dobbs. Following the Dobbs decision, we set out to answer the question, how would criminal law be used to prosecute acts associated with pregnancy? Wendy Bach, the principal investigator of the report and professor at the University of Tennessee Law School, said in a press release, with this report, we hope to see both more attention on pregnancy-related prosecutions and more advocacy to reverse course on the criminalization of pregnant people, she said. Well, that's good. Notably, rates of prosecution varied strikingly across the country, according to the report. Alabama, for example, was responsible for nearly half of the prosecutions, followed by Oklahoma and South Carolina. Also noting the majority of defendants charged in pregnancy-related cases were low income. It's like they target them. In Oklahoma, local news in 2022 began reporting that prosecutors there were targeting pregnant women for using medical marijuana, resulting in felony child neglect charges, geez Louise, being filed against 26 mothers. The crime, get this, the crime carries up to a life sentence in prison. Thankfully, in July, a state court ruled that people cannot be prosecuted for child neglect for legally using medical marijuana while pregnant. In 2022, an Alabama Senate committee approved a bill to force women who want medical marijuana to provide a negative pregnancy test. Are you kidding me? And on that, these are my words, I'm just going to end because I'm pretty speechless.
Life sentence.
Ridiculous.
And
if you want a medical card, you have to do a pregnancy test? Are you kidding me?
They just changed that. Remember, we read about that not too long ago.
Yeah.
Nuts.
That's not happening.
No. Stay out of people's homes, government. You're not meant to be there. Lesser known marijuana components like CBG, which we love, the mother of all cannabinoids, and THCV are promising treatments for Parkinson and Alzheimer's, study shows. Before we get into this subject, my sister-in-law, who's an avid cannabis user, very avid cannabis user. She likes it for sleep, but she's learning. She's not a huge THC user. She does like CBD, and she likes a lot of the other cannabinoids. She very low doses THC, what we've taught her, like 2 milligrams is her max. She has a reaction to it sometimes if she goes too high, especially with edibles. And she's the one that never says she's high. And we know she's high. She is. So it was funny. So talking about THCV, I gave her a THCV, like 4 milligrams, 2 milligrams of CBD, 1 milligram of THC. Phenomenal product. I love them. It's like fucking, it's like taking Adderall. And I've never taken Adderall before. So it's like taking Adderall. Once I did. I took Adderall once. Someone snuck me one in my mouth. And I thought it was something else. And I was fucking doing, you don't give me Adderall. Ever. I was doing 1,000-mile-per-hour laps and doing 1,000 push-ups. So anyway, I'm like, this, you'll really like this. It's like, it'll stop the munchies. It'll give you some energy. So she went to look for the same brand and couldn't find us, so they sold her another brand. Higher THC, though, 10 milligrams per dose. But it said love on there and may cause you to, and the instructions may cause blood flow to your nether regions and makes you feel like whatever. You're gonna,
horny.
Yes, horny.
Oh, me so horny.
Me love you long time. And so she texts me what she bought, and she goes, the bartender didn't tell me that this was all. I'm like, listen, you're going to be okay. It's just blood flow. It just, they're selling it as that, but it just, all it's going to do is help you with the munchies, and it's going to give you some energy, and it's going to get more blood flow to everywhere you're going. And I said, you're not going to walk around like fucking having orgasms everywhere you walk, taking a half a fucking dose of this. But I said, you could be like sleeping in Seattle, go out to dinner with your husband and his birthday, and you have the best night of his life. And I sent her the sleeping in Seattle video going, yes, I'll have what she's having. So, but yes, THCV, you can call it whatever you want. It's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal cannabinoid. It's really starting to learn more and more about it. But so anyway, with these cannabinoids, and a lot of cannabinoids helping with Parkinson, we'll get back to sex later. A new scientific review on potential benefits of marijuana in treating brain disorders says that the addition to THC and CBD produced by the cannabis plant a diverse array of lesser-known phytocannabinoids, along with terpenes, flavonoids, and alkaloids, and esters, and all the fun stuff. And bears and lions and tigers, too. May also demonstrate diverse pharmacological activities and could offer therapeutic applications. Such compounds include THCV, CBDV, and CBG. And we've talked about all three of these on prior episodes, so if you want to learn about them, you can go back and listen to prior episodes. They're antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and neuromodulatory, I practiced that word, effects position them as promising agents in treating neurodegenerative disorders, says the report, authored by a pair of research from the Center of Dementia Research and Nathan Klein Institute of Psychiatric Research in New York, and released last month through preprints.org. Authors evaluated available scientific literature about minor cannabinoids and conditions such as epilepsy, Parkinson disease, Alzheimer's disease, Huntington's disease, and substance alcohol use disorders. What's Huntington's disease again? Do you remember? Do you know? No, I've never heard it either. They found evidence not only in the neuroprotective effects, but also other beneficial outcomes. The therapeutic potential of cannabis sativa expands well beyond the widely studied CBD, the report says, encompassing a diverse range of lesser-known phytocannabinoids that show promise in addressing various neurological disorders. Did you find it?
Yes. It's a chronic inherited disease that causes nerve cells in the brain to deteriorate or die.
Oh, sounds brutal.
Yeah.
The therapeutic potential of cannabis sativa, we read, while research has extensively examined the neuropsychiatric and neuroprotective effects of delta-9 THC, it adds other minor phytocannabinoids remain unexplored. The neuroprotective functions of these non-psychotropic minor phytocannabinoids, particularly their antioxidants and anti-inflammatory and immune-modulating properties, offer new avenues for research and treatment. While the pharmacological mechanisms of many NMPS remain unexplored or underexplored, emerging studies suggested their potential to develop novel therapies for brain disorders. As research continues to unfold, these findings could have paved the way for innovative cannabinoid plant-based treatments that go beyond the scope of traditional approaches, offering new hope in neuroprotection and disease management. The new report follows a separate study into the lesser chemical components of marijuana. Published this summer, found that minor cannabinoids may have anti-cancer effects and on blood cancer. The research published in the Journal of Biofactors looked at minor cannabinoids in multiple melanoma testing responses to cells models to the cannabinoid CBG, CBC, CBN, and CBDV, as well as studying CBN in a mouse model. Together, our results suggest that CBG, CBC, CBN, and CBDV can be promising anti-cancer agents for multiple melanoma. Authors wrote, due to their cytotoxic effects on cells and for CBN in the vivo xenograft mouse model of I did that pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. But
I don't know what vivo xenograft mouse model is, but it's helping with so let's do it. Those mouse models where they use fucking plastic mice and fucking just what is a mouse model? Is it a real mouse or is it a mouse or is it a mouse model which like painted and plastered and like paper mache shit and they paint it and they put a little joint in its mouth?
Yes.
They also noted that cannabinoids apparently beneficial effects on bone in terms of reduction of cells, invasion towards the bone and bone resorption, mainly CBG and CBN. A more recent study, meanwhile, also released on reprints.org, found that while it's plausible that terpenes produced by cannabis are responsible for modulating a marijuana high, it's still unproven. Bummer. Where am I at here? I'm kind of high. Here we go. Up to date, no reliable scientific evidence of the synergy exists, at least the cannabinoid receptor level. The report says, nonetheless, it would be premature to deny the existence of either pharmacodynamic or pharmacokinetic. Phew. Man, fucking words are hard. Interactions among active compounds presents in cannabis, as many biological activities have been attributed to its terpenes, including analgesic, anti-inflammatory, and anti-olaxitic properties. Authors wrote that the so-called entourage effect appears plausible, particularly when considering minor phytocannabinoids, monoterpenes, and sesquiterpenes, and sesquiterpenoids. There's a lot of sesquents going on in this article. A separate study published earlier this year that the International Journal of Molecular Science said that the complex interaction between phytocannabinoids and biological systems offers hope for novel treatment approaches, potentially laying the groundwork for a new era of innovation in cannabis-based medicines. The plant cannabis exhibits an effect called the entourage effect, in which the combined actions of terpenes and phytocannabinoids results in the effects that exceed the sum of their separate contributions, that study found. This synergy emphasizes how important it is to consider the entire plant when utilizing cannabinoids medicinally, as opposed to just concentrating on individual cannabinoids. A federally funded study shows in May, meanwhile, found that terpenes could be the potential therapeutics for chronic neuropathic pain, finding that an injected dose of compounds produce a roughly equal reduction in pain markers when compared to smaller doses of morphine. Hell yeah. Remember reading that article? That was great. Terpenes also appear to enhance the efficiency of morphine when given in combination. Unlike with morphine, however, none of the studies terpenes produced a meaningful reward response that research found, indicating that terpenes could be effective analgesic with no rewarding or dysphoric side effects. Yay, terpenes. Another study published earlier this year looked at the collaborative interactions between cannabinoids, terpenes, flavonoids, esters, and other molecules in the plant, concluding that a better understanding of the relationships of various chemical components is crucial for unraveling cannabis' complete therapeutic potential. Others research funded by the National Institute of Drug Abuse, NIDA, found that the citrusy-smelling terpene of marijuana, D-limonene, could help ease anxiety and paranoia associated with THC. Researchers said finally that could help unlock the maximum therapeutic benefit of THC. I have that bottle upstairs. It's all citrus, limonene,
it's essential oil.
Essential oil. You sniff that when you're too high.
Mai Tai, I think it's called.
You sniff that when you're too high, boy. You're right back in the game. Phew. It's like fucking smelling salts. You're like, whoa. A separate study last year found that cannabis products are with more diverse array of natural cannabinoids produce stronger psychoactive experiences in adults, which also lasted longer than the high generated by pure THC. And in 2018, a study found that patients suffering from epilepsy experienced better health outcomes with fewer adverse side effects when they used the plant-based CBD extracts compared to purified CBD products. Scientists last year also discovered previously unidentified cannabis compounds called flavorants that they believe are responsible for the unique aromas of different varieties of marijuana. Previously, many had thought terpenes alone were responsible for various smells produced by the plant. Similar phenomena are also beginning to be recorded about psychedelic plants and fungi. In March, for example, research published findings showing that the use of full-spectrum psychedelic mushroom extract had more powerful effect than chemically synthesized psilocybin alone. They said the findings imply that mushrooms like cannabis demonstrate an entourage effect, which we just talked about a couple minutes ago. We eat gummies.
Yeah.
We fucking eat 10 tons of gummies. We eat a lot of gummies. We eat a lot of chews. We eat a lot of fucking. We eat a lot. We love edibles, especially at night before we go to bed. They're fun. I mean, even if you take us one during the day and have some fun to make you laugh, it just gets you in a good mood. Edibles are great. They especially when Mrs Weedman makes them. Especially your NAMI bars.
I know. I'm way past needing
you have
to make
not
some.
made
I
any
haven't
fucking edibles.
It's
beg
really
you.
hard to cook and bake when you can't taste stuff. I just feel like I'm not producing things. I can't tell you
Listen,
if it's good.
I will tell you if it tastes like shit. And everything that you make always tastes good. I think actually
I'll bake.
you will. I know you will. But Mrs. Weedman makes this one, and I know there's some people that listen that have tried these before. She has a lot of good recipes, but the one that gets everybody coming back for more is the Nami Nugs. Oh my God. They're very expensive to make. And but ask Mrs. Weedman about it next time you see her about what Nami Nugs are. And but go ahead, tell us, Mrs. Weedman, can a gummy help you relax?
Well, I could just say yes and not have to
Go to
read
the
this,
next one.
but I'll read it. It's the time of year when things tend to speed up at work, at home, and in politics. But can a gummy help you stop and take a breath? Politics are dominating the news. More people are back to the office, and it seems the workload is heavier. Sometimes you just need a little downtime. Can a little THC gummy help you relax and unwind? Well, science says yes, and Gen Z has embraced the trend as the first generation experiencing anxiety at an alarming rate. Some people reach for alcohol, a scented candle, or music to relax, but a study at Johns Hopkins has shown using cannabis at a low dose can help the body and mind relax. Tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, is a cannabinoid found in cannabis. It's the principal psychoactive constituent of cannabis and one of at least 113 total cannabinoids identified in the plant. It interacts with receptors in your brain to produce feelings of relaxation and euphoria, but indulging too much can have a negative impact. While more research needs to be done, it is clear from research so far that dosage is a key element of success. Dispensary gummies tend to have 5 to 10 milligrams of THC, a lower amount than a joint, and easier to control than taking several hits off of a vape. Microdosing has become very popular, and it provides an opportunity to take part in gummies to smooth the rough edges of your day. People use cannabis to help reduce anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. But since THC levels vary widely, if a person overshoots their tolerance, cannabis can induce anxiety rather than relieve it, says study senior author Ryan Vandre, PhD professor of psychiatry and behavioral sciences at the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. Our study demonstrates D-limonene can modulate the effects of THC in a meaningful way and make THC more tolerable to people who use it for both therapeutic and non-therapeutic purposes. The research team concluded combining D-limonene with THC significantly reduced reports of THC-induced anxiety in participants. These reductions were greater as the dose of D-limonene was increased. Additionally, they saw no interference with THC's subjective, cognitive, or physiological effects when co-administered with D-limonene, as well as no effects from D-limonene alone that differed from the placebo test. So, if your anxiety is frequent, it is important to speak to a health professional to develop a routine for long-term health. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, and
What
speaking,
can you think of a strain offhand that is D-limonene heavy? No.
yeah, I mean any kind of like tangy, any
Yeah.
kind of Remember we were smoking that orange soul?
Yeah.
That's
That would be-
heavy
okay.
limonene, heavy
Interesting.
citrus. Yeah. So anything that has some kind of orange in it, or
Yeah.
and your nose would know too if you smell it. It smells very citrusy because that's limonene.
Or
right
like
there.
lemon pledge, that lemon pledge smell.
Yeah. So, as you were speaking about talking to your healthcare providers, right?
Yes.
Adults seeking marijuana-related advice seldom refer to healthcare providers or government agencies.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right.
You can't trust your government for one, and two, your healthcare providers, sometimes they rat you out.
Well, and my big thing is that a lot of doctors are scientists.
Yes.
They want things tested, evaluated, it's all about research
Right.
data, and marijuana doesn't have it. And there's no FDA.
But it's crazy though, because we read so much about research in cannabis,
Right.
but because it's not,
But it's not FDA approved,
Right.
and they can't. There's no like dosing process, right? Like we know milligrams, but we
Right.
don't know what milligram effectively treats symptom A, B, C,
Right.
or D, or blah blah blah
right?
blah blah.
Because they have
Right.
you were taking that not
And
Epidiolex, you were taking what they gave you that synthetic they prescribed
I
you.
can't remember the name of it.
But yeah, and you're like, I'd rather just use the
I don't
real
want
thing.
Yeah. But also, they don't know how it interferes with medications too,
Right.
because that kind of research has not been able to be done.
Yes.
So that's why I tend to ask a pharmacist, because your pharmacist can look at medications that you're taking and they know the chemical structure of cannabis, and they may or may not. I think they get the question more frequently now.
Right.
And I think that they could better guide you. I think that it's a gray area. I don't tell all my doctors that I consume. I just told my hematologist that I consume cannabis because I was so frustrated with my pain, and he wanted to start prescribing more medications, and I don't want them. And so I said I use CBD during the day and I use THC at night, and that's what I'm using. Like, I'm not going down
Yeah,
the
fuck you,
rabbit
doctor.
hole of opiates
You and
and
your
taking Tylenol every day. Fuck that shit.
Yeah. Is that a hemorrhoid doctor? What kind of doctor is that? A hematologist? What the hell is a hemat? I'm just kidding. Just fucking around. So few adults turn to either healthcare providers or government agencies when seeking information about cannabis, according to the nationwide survey data published in the Journal of Cannabis Research. Researchers with the University of Michigan at Ann Arbor surveyed 1,100 U.S. adults regarding where they obtained cannabis-related information. They should listen to the Weedman 420 Chronicles, right? They should.
Yeah.
But anyway, respondents were most likely to obtain information from either friends and family or from websites. They were least likely to obtain information from medical providers or government agencies. Normal's deputy director was not surprised by the survey's result. Historically, government-affiliated sources have either embellished or outright lied about marijuana and its effects. I mean, we fucking war on drugs alone, and been the last.
And most doctors still believe that.
Listen to that bullshit. So it's no wonder that the public doesn't consider them to be credible sources for marijuana-related information. Armentano also acknowledged most healthcare practitioners lack sufficient training in marijuana-related matters, and therefore they are uncomfortable speaking to their patients about it. Survey data published a 2020 report that fewer than 1 in 5 patients believe that their primary care providers are sufficiently knowledgeable about cannabis-specific health-related issues. My doctor, when I told him I use cannabis for pain, he was like, I can give you 5 good reasons why you should stop cannabis today. And I said, I can give you 25 good reasons why you should keep on using cannabis every day.
Yeah.
So I got you beat, doc. And he just looked at me, and he's a very nice man, but does not believe in cannabis at all. Because I remember when medical happened in Illinois, and I asked him, and he goes, "No, I can't. I'll lose all my patients." I'm like, I thought you're not supposed to tell your fucking patients that about another patient's thing. Well, if I put it on my cannabis cards, I'm like, doc, man, you need to get up with the times. You're too far in the Stone Age. It's different nowadays, man. But still a very good doctor. Cannabis use is not a phenomenon, and it's not going away. Healthcare professionals have responsibility to keep up with cannabis-related science and trends so they can engage with their patients, just as they would stay informed and provide advice regarding any other number of behaviors that potentially impact their patients' health and well-being. The study authors similarly concluded, as cannabis accessibility and legality is increasing, there are a strong need for better clinician education, public outreach strategies, and improved communication between patients and clinicians about cannabis. We should not have to go to our doctor and not be able to tell him we use cannabis. or CBD or any of the cannabinoids. We should not have to be worried about that. He's our doctor. And if we use this because of the benefits it gives us, he should go, well, maybe I should learn a little bit more about this. Mm-hmm. So when you come in and you talk to me about this, I'm not going to chastise you and go, the power of Christ compels you, start throwing holy water on you, fucking melt, Exorcist reference, everybody. Sorry. Mrs. Weedman is not very good with movie.
I know what that is.
You know what it is?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. But very rare you give it.
Our age, who doesn't know the movie
sure.
The Exorcist?
I know, but did you know that line?
Yeah.
Okay.
When the priest comes in to exorcise her and she's flapping around in the bed.
Damn.
Yeah, I know that.
And
her head's spinning around. She's like, fuck. What does she say? Like, motherfucker.
No. She turns her head and she goes, your mother sucks cock in hell. that right there. I should have stopped watching that movie.
And then she like spews vomit
just
all over.
fucking vomits pea soup all over him and shit. If you have not seen The Exorcist before, the original.
Holy cow,
man.
that gave you nightmares.
This was the 70s, and I watched that. It was like 40 of us in my, we were in Long Island staying at my aunt and uncle's house, and everybody was there. It was a big party. And we watched, I was 7.
Yeah.
Scared shit. You probably all think.
Remember Damien the Omen?
Oh, yeah, but there's nothing compared to
The
this.
Shining?
The Exorcist,
we were little, though. We were watching
Yeah,
that.
oh, yeah, but 7? 8 years old watching The Exorcist, shitting the pants in bed, scared like out of my mind.
Kids in Catholic school.
Oh my God. What is this?
Fear of the devil.
Literally.
Literally.
They were right.
Oh,
the nuns were right.
It could happen. What if it happens to me?
Going back to school that next day on that Monday was real
weird. Looked at everybody a little funny. Looked at the priest. You just wondered more.
Oh my God. Hey, does holy water really work? Can you douse me in that shit? I'm scared.
Pour that on my head, would you?
Oh, shit. Oh, so what if your dog eats marijuana?
Well, we had that happen.
A few times.
Yeah.
Butter.
Before we had Yuki, when our kids were young, we had a puggle and we had a chihuahua.
Ugh.
And our chihuahua got like a dollop. A dollop. He was all of like 7 pounds at his heaviest.
He didn't die.
He got like probably a solid teaspoon of can of butter.
Teaspoon?
He was like like Rocky all night. Like if you just walked by him, he was like pew 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 pew. Remember, he just kept like boxing at everything.
Again. Yeah, it's spunk at him again. But remember, like you put your hand in front of his face and
he's like paranoid.
Get all he was fucking geeked out, man. But you tell you what, that little fucking 7-pound dog did not die from eating cannabis.
No, he didn't.
And that dog was like
he was just fine.
Oh yeah, and then Butter fell another time, and Maxie, our puggle, got it. And she was like a brand new fucking dog.
Yeah, she had zoomies at like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Remember, she was so high, she was fucking running around. She wanted to play. And she was old now. She was like 15 years old.
Yeah,
we were like, we should give her more of this. Like every day. She had she was like a puppy all over again. She was fun.
I forgot about that.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny.
We're like, what do we do?
Yeah, so if your dog eats marijuana, here's the first thing. Don't panic.
Yeah, don't panic.
Right? Go ahead, Mrs. Weedman, tell us about it.
Here are the telltale signs of THC toxicity in dogs and what most concerns the veterinarians. Dogs are naturally curious animals, notorious for exploring the world by way of their mouths. So if you're a cannabis user, it's possible, even likely, that one day your dog will sample your stash. Take it from Dr. Kate Smith, medical director for Animal Urgent Care in Arvada, which gets calls about pets that have consumed pot almost every time she's in the office. Sometimes the owners aren't aware that's what happened. They call and report the dog seems wobbly or out of it, like a human that's had too many drinks. Other times there's evidence like an empty edible container or a ripped baggie. It is incredibly, incredibly common, Smith said, adding that even if you don't keep cannabis in the house, dogs will sniff it out on the ground, on trails, and in other places. I've had to tell a uniformed police officer that I thought his dog ingested THC, like his personal dog, not his work dog. So it does happen all the time in Colorado, she said. According to the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, or the ASPCA, which operates a poison control center and hotline, the number of potential exposures among pets has skyrocketed as more states have legalized cannabis. In 2019, the ASPCA received 2,812 calls about cannabis toxicity. That grew to 6,796 calls in 2023, with about 2.1% of those coming from Colorado. Smith said the vast majority of cases she sees involve dogs. Cats seem to have a more discerning palate, she said.
Cats don't like candy.
I know, right? They like catnip.
Yeah.
You'd think they'd like weed.
Some might eat the plant.
Just
eat
the
plant.
flower. Yeah. So, what do you do if you think your pup got into pot? We spoke with Dr. Smith and Dr. Kramer Gopfarth, lead and founding veterinarians at Livewell Animal Hospital in Denver, Colorado, about the telltale signs your dog has ingested cannabis, the vet's biggest concerns, and why you shouldn't be afraid to admit if your weed is missing. Sorry about that. Dogs have more cannabinoid receptors than humans do, so they are extremely sensitive to tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, the psychoactive compound in cannabis that causes a high. Within 30 minutes of consuming cannabis, they're likely to exhibit symptoms, Gopfarth said.
I want to have the dogs more cannabinoid receptors. I want what they got.
You want more?
Yeah, I want more. What the fuck?
While symptoms vary depending on dose and size of the dog, the most common signs of toxicity include stumbling, lethargic behavior, urinary incontinence, vomiting, and a hyperactive reaction to stimuli. For example, your dog might flinch uncharacteristically when approached. Sometimes you can even see bloodshot eyes, Gopfarth added. In severe cases, THC toxicity can lead to a drop in your dog's body temperature and heart rate, unconsciousness, tremors, or seizures. Experts recommend bringing your dog to the vet to check his or her vital signs. It is worth noting that while THC is toxic for dogs, it is rarely fatal, and animals should return to normal within 48 to 72 hours.
Damn, they get 72-hour high off a
I know,
gummy?
right?
Fuck, man. Good for them.
We recommend getting in to be seen to make that assessment in person to see if we need to hospitalize them, the doctor said. From the veterinarian's perspective, a dog eating cannabis flower is less concerning than edibles. That's because edibles are often manufactured with things that can be toxic to dogs, such as chocolate or the artificial sweetener xylitol. Xylitol specifically can cause the dog's system to release insulin and cause a hyperglycemic response. In large doses, it can cause liver failure, Smith said. We have even seen dogs that eat human feces, and if it contains marijuana, they can actually get relay toxicosis, Smith
My brother
said.
threw up, and he threw up his gummy, and he threw up, remember?
And the dog ate it.
and
Yeah.
she was high. Remember that? Oh, my gosh.
A dog's reaction to THC will vary depending on the animal's weight, how much it consumed, and exactly what it ate. So you have to know when to call your vet. And when you do, be prepared to offer specifics. Dr. Smith and Gopfarth said it's often difficult to get pet owners to admit that weed may be the blame for their dog's symptoms, but the more forthcoming you can be, the better vets will be able to treat your pup. Even with it being legal, there still seems to be some sort of stigma around it with pet owners, Smith said. To be honest, we don't care. There's literally no judgment from us. We just would rather know than not know. It's especially important because the symptoms of THC toxicity can mimic those of the ingestion of other more toxic substances like ethanol glycol or antifreeze.
Antifreeze is death to dogs.
Yeah. If cannabis is a possibility, it's definitely a better possibility, Smith said. Both experts reiterated that there won't be any legal ramifications for pet parents unless they see obvious signs of malicious intent or neglect. If the dog is asymptomatic, vets might induce vomiting, or if the dog does have symptoms, they might give it an anti-nausea medication to prevent vomiting and potential aspiration. They might also give the animal fluids under their skin. If a case seems mild, they'll send the dog home. If it's more severe, they may request hospitalization. So, if you're ever concerned, just get them to your vet, Gopfarth said. Getting them checked out for safety and peace of mind is always a good thing.
Take care of our hairy,
Our
friendly
puppers.
friends, our puppers. Oh,
Yeah.
gosh, I'd be lost.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. She doesn't even like weed, I don't think.
She likes eating the leaves, the
Yeah,
cannabis
the
leaves. She
leaves.
loves them.
Yeah, she
She'll
does.
devour those. But there's no THC in that,
Right.
so it's THCA or whatever. So CBG. So, but she just loves the leaf. She'll she'll knock those out. I take the stem off though. I don't like her chewing on the stem because I don't
Right.
know if she can digest that or not. So, but the leaf, boy,
All
she
good.
loves it. Yep. Political state news and some business news. The IDFPR works to expand medical cannabis tax rates to all dispensaries. The Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation plans to allow medical cannabis patients to receive medical tax rates at any dispensary in Illinois, not just the 55 medical-only ones. About fucking time. This change aims to expand access for patients and reduce purchasing burdens. While no timeline has been given, of course, the goal is to pass legislation in the fiscal year 2025. Similar provisions of the House Bill 2911 failed in 2024 after being lobbied against. The veto session in November may address the issue again. Tennessee Department of Agriculture lists new hemp rules. Tennessee new hemp regulations effective December 26, 2024 may make some hemp products, such as THCA hemp flower, illegal to sell. Oh, no. The rule change means that THC content will be measured after products are burned rather than before, which could result in certain items being banned. Retailers may need to pull products from shelves, leaving some with unsellable inventory. The changes are intended to regulate, not ban, hemp-derived cannabinoids, but lawsuits could challenge the rules, leaving final decisions up to the courts.
Can I just interject?
Sure.
Hemp and cannabis need to stop fighting.
Mm-hmm.
They're the same thing.
Yeah.
They need to unify.
I just posted that article,
It's ridiculous.
right? We talked about it on the last episode,
Yes.
too. Yes. Just legalize all of it.
Yeah.
All of it. Just decriminalize it. Let federal government stay out of it because you don't deserve it. You'll fuck it up even more. Just decriminalize it. Let the states handle it with standardizations and make sure people are getting safe weed, good priced weed, and make sure we have home grow in every state if people want to home grow, just like a garden. And government, stay out of the way. You'll get your tax dollars in the state and you'll be just fine. Okay? But stay out of our business. You've been in it way too long.
Mm-hmm.
Cannabis industry breathes a sigh of relief over East Coast port strike ending. That was a 1-week disaster. Could have lasted months. The cannabis industry avoided a major supply chain disruption with the strike at East Coast ports ended. While cannabis itself can't cross state lines, many components like vape, hardware, and packaging materials come from overseas. Companies face potential cost increase and delays from rerouting shipments. Industry leaders expressed relief, highlighting the reliance of global resources. Stressed the importance of preparation and maintaining strong supply chain communications to mitigate future risk. Always be prepared. Always have a little
Mr.
extra.
Weedman made me go to Costco and buy everything.
I did. No,
Not really. Not exactly. He just thought there might be like a couple weeks delay on certain things that we use all the time.
I said what I say, medication.
Right.
I said
Right.
make sure you have your allergy medicine just in case, and anything that comes overseas that we use a lot of.
Right.
Just make sure we have. We didn't fucking do like everybody did in COVID.
No,
we
we've
just
already
bought-
used everything
yeah,
we bought,
just
I think.
bought. I think I still have one package of toilet paper in the crawl space, so we didn't need
Oh, from
that.
COVID
From
still?
COVID, yeah.
Do we really?
Yeah, I think I bought two major 30 packs,
Oh my
60
gosh.
for 2 people. That's a lot of TP.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. Cannabis industry breathes, like I said, a sigh of relief, so that's great. Baltimore voters to consider reparations fund for communities impacted by anti-cannabis prosecutions. Baltimore voters will decide in 2024 general election whether to create reparations fund for black residents. The initiative approved by the Baltimore City Council aims to address historical injustices, including slavery, segregation, and systematic racism. If passed, the fund could be supported by the city's budget, grants, and donations. Details about what would qualify for reparations and how the money would be distributed are still being determined. Missouri's appeals court hears case over local government stacking sales tax on marijuana. Missouri court is debating on how local governments can tax marijuana sales under a 2022 constitutional amendment. St. Louis and St. Charles counties argue that both counties and municipalities should be allowed to impose a 3% tax. However, claims this would lead to excessive taxation. Some of the dispensaries say it would lead to excessive taxation, arguing the amendment doesn't allow for double taxation. The case could impact how much money consumers pay in taxes on cannabis statewide, while similar cases also pending in other counties. You don't need that tax. You're already getting enough money that you don't deserve. Elon Musk says X is the safe space to say weed. The only social platform where you can talk about cannabis openly. And we've talked about Instagram and TikTok on a few episodes ago, but it is true. And I don't go on TikTok. I mean, on
Twitter,
X that much anymore. And not because of Elon, but I just never really did. And but I'm open to it, because if you type in weed now in the search bar, that 4-letter word WEED, nothing comes up. No, it is Tor black. And like I said on a couple episodes ago, we keep on using it, and we're so foolish.
Yep,
and
we're shadow banned.
And also a new account that we just followed. There's a new bus, a new smoke sesh bus.
It's a new consumption bus in Chicago.
Just launched their Instagram, and in 3 days they lost their account.
Shut down.
Why?
I'm shadow banned. I've got violations, and if I remove them, then I'm removing the core of our. Like I can't change my branding. I can't change what we are. I don't use the word cannabis. I try to abide by the rules, and they still want me to remove all of my stuff. I'm just not removing my content.
Yeah.
So
Elon Musk's platform.
So maybe we all need to move over to X.
Is being hailed as the only major social media space where cannabis can be discussed openly.
Why aren't we there?
Alexa Linello, head of cannabis at X. They have somebody that's the head of cannabis at X. Highlighted how it allows cannabis companies to advertise, help normalize the industry, and engage users in dialogue about products, legalization, and social injustices, or social justice. And Anello emphasized that platform's pioneering role and its success in reaching audiences, as opposed to other social media giants still hesitant to embrace cannabis advertising. I'm open to it, but I don't know if anybody that's following me is going to move over there. You know, I mean, it's just it's a different platform. I really wish he would change it a little bit. Just tweak a little bit. It's a little sometimes hard to do shit on there. I think that's why I don't use it as much, you know. But you can do a lot of shit on that, you know. But it's just weird that, you know, you can't do anything on Instagram. Fucking terrible. Get with the times. Applications to enter Delaware's recreational marijuana market exceeded availability tenfold. The Office of Marijuana Commission in Delaware received 1,269 applicants for 125 recreational marijuana licenses, far exceeding expectations. Due to the high demand, a lottery will be held October 24th, 2024, coming up soon, to determine who receives cultivation, manufacturing, testing, and retail licenses. Applicants can opt into future lotteries if not chosen. The retail category saw the most interest, with 519 applicants for 15 licenses. OMC raised over $4 million in fees and expects to launch the market by April 2025. $4 million in fees. And they don't get that back. So wrong. Massachusetts slaps big cannabis with $165,000 fines for safety failures. Massachusetts regulars fines Ascend Wellness Holdings and Cureleaf $165,000 for safety violations dating back to 2021. They were fined. One was fined $85,000 for failing to comply with track and trace regulations, leading to unverified deliveries of nearly 900 products. And then the other one received $80,000 fine for contamination risk due to poor facility maintenance and is now on a 6-month probation. Jeez. Both companies have pledged to enhance compliance and safety measures. Illinois 2024 annual cannabis report shows explosive growth of cannabis industry in the state. According to 2024 annual cannabis report published by the Illinois Department of Financial Professional Regulations, the state's cannabis industry experienced explosive growth in 2024. The report says that Illinois added 82 licenses dispensaries and the largest expansion of dispensaries since the program started in 2024, with the passage of the Compassionate Use of Medical Cannabis Program Act. Compared to the 28 licenses issued in 2023, there are currently 220 licensed dispensaries. The report also states the newly licensed dispensaries under social equity lotteries achieved parity with the market that was initially established for medical cannabis dispensaries. In the past fiscal year, there were $2 million in cannabis sales. Oh, $2 billion in cannabis sales. Woo, that's a lot of money. It's actually over $2 billion. In 2025, the state hopes to expand access to cannabis for both recreational and medical patients. For example, there are currently only 55 dispensaries that medical patients have access to cannabis, were originally awarded licenses in 2015. Unfortunately, medical patients do not have access to their medical cannabis tax rate at the remaining adult use dispensaries that were since open. The IDFPR says that it's working with stakeholders in legislation to remove the barrier to access, further support of emerging social equity marketplace. Additionally, over the next fiscal year, it is anticipated expecting to open approximately 80 additional dispensaries from the 2021 lotteries. I just want a medical license. You know, that's all I want to buy. I don't need the rec part. You guys can all deal with that craziness. I just want a nice little apothecary medical license. Can I get one, please? The department also stated its intention to work with those who receive conditional adult use dispensing organization licenses in 2023 social equity criteria lottery to open its dispensaries. Currently, there are 105 licenses, majority owned by social equity applicants. 17 licenses, majority owned by women. 62 licenses, majority opened by people of color. The 2024 social equity criteria lottery had almost 2,700 applicants, of which 55 were chose at potential dispensaries. Of those, 47 were able to demonstrate that they were qualified to receive an additional license issued on May 3rd, 2024. Congress is about to lose its greatest cannabis advocate ever.
Who's that?
Congressman Earl Blummer, Democrat Oregon, is retiring next month. Mr. Blummer, or Earl, as often asked to be called, has been a leading proponent of cannabis reform since 1973, when Oregon was the first state to decriminalize user amounts of the plant. Blumauer was the brand new face in the Oregon House of Representatives at the time, and he has been vocal proponent of cannabis reform ever since. I've read a lot of articles with him included on there when it comes to government politics and stuff like that. He has been an advocate. I didn't know it was that long, since 1973. But damn, that's pretty good. Most people don't trust the government for marijuana information. Federally funded study shows, like we talked about. Crazy. AI-powered robot looks to perfect cannabis grows. Balance Robotics has developed an AI-powered hydroponic growing robot called Anabato, designed to streamline cannabis cultivation at home. The device uses computer vision and machine learning to monitor plant health, automatically adjusting nutrients and environmental conditions via the smartphone app. Initially focused on food production, the company pivoted to cannabis due to consumer demand for high-quality control. Balance plans to expand its commercial markets and is collecting data to enhance its AI system, aiming to empower smaller growers against larger corporations. Hawaii officials seek expert analysis on potential marijuana market demand as lawmakers continue to consider legalization. Hawaii officials are seeking expert analysis to evaluate the demand for medical and recreational cannabis as lawmakers consider legalization. The Office of Medical Cannabis Control and Regulation has issued a request for proposals to assess the existing medical cannabis framework and predict market demand in adult use cannabis is legalized. This analysis will guide regulatory frameworks, including licenses and taxation. Submissions are due November 1st, with the final report expected out by March 15, 2025. Missouri regulators deny certification for majority of social equity cannabis license winners. Of the 24 dispensary licenses selected through the lottery in June, the independent has identified 14 that are likely connected with groups that state cracked down on previously. Going to give you a little info that I heard. So a lot of dispensaries in Missouri that got shut down, it's the same people just changing their name and buying a new license or partnering with somebody and just changing their name. So it's just repetition. Then the state catches them, and then they fucking do it all over again. Why can't I do that?
How much money do they have to do that?
Who knows? Just little insider trading there. Main issue: second recall of moldy cannabis. The recall affects several recreational cannabis products made by Nova Farms with the frosted cookie strain. Be careful out there. Make sure you know what you're getting. Vapes, edibles outpacing New York's cannabis flower sales. In New York, sales of cannabis vapes and edibles have surpassed those of flower products. Shame. As of August, these categories accounted by approximately 57% of the state's total cannabis sales. The demand for vapes and edibles is driven by consumer preferences for convenient and discreet consumption methods. Despite challenges like high taxes and illicit market competition, New York's legal cannabis market is projected to generate around $1.3 billion in sales by the end of 2024. September was an $84.7 million month. And they're not even getting started. Those months are going to be like Michigan months, $250 million. And here's the thing. You could smoke weed anywhere in New York. Why you got to be discreet about it? Mm-hmm. You always hear Kelly Ripa talk about, "Mayor stinks like marijuana in this town." Come on, Mark, let's get the fuck out of here.
She doesn't talk like that. I'm
talking like that. I sound like a whiny little brat. Marijuana stinks. I can't smell it. Fucking all right there, Karen. Vermont Legal Cannabis Marketplace celebrates its second anniversary. Good for you, Mark. Congratulations. West Virginia University research putting CBD to the test from behind the wheel. Researchers of West Virginia University are investigating the effects of CBD on driving performance, including differences between men and women. The study will involve 300 participants and is funded by a $2.2 million grant from the National Institute of Drug Abuse. Participants will undergo cognitive and psychomotor tests and use of driving simulator after taking either CBD or a placebo. The goal is to enhance understanding of CBD's impact on driving safety and inform consumers' decisions. I've taken CBD. You take CBD every day. Does that affect your driving at all? Like your cognitive, like anything? No. Right. Nothing.
No.
I can tell you that right now. Give me the $2.2 million and you're good. Then I can go buy myself a med dispensary. Oh, shit. You know what? Sometimes I tell you, I come up with some good ideas, but no one believes it.
I think we all have that problem.
Yep. Cannabis voters guide to this election. There's a lot of craziness going on right now with this election as it is, and cannabis is a major topic right now, which kind of sucks because they're using it to get you to vote for them. Don't be fooled by the schemers and the scammers and the suits. Don't be fooled by the suits.
Well, number one, I don't think that we should elect anyone into an official position because of one topic that they promote.
I know.
Like you're saying, usually it's a way for them to get votes. So they speak on topics and they promote topics that suit the agenda that gets a good audience.
Of course.
So, yeah. Right? I mean, we all know that.
But don't be fooled.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So don't be fooled. Don't be fooled.
Don't be fooled by the snake
But
oil
also
salesman.
don't choose your politician just based on one topic,
No.
like cannabis.
But some
right?
people will.
Like, I know some people will.
Some people will.
I think it's important to know if cannabis is important to you like it is to us, I think it is important to know who...
We don't vote for party anymore. We haven't in years.
Right.
We vote for the person who people who we like.
Covers more of what we believe in.
What we believe in.
Right.
So we vote all over the place.
Right.
So we consider ourselves more of an independent because we vote every which way but loose, you know. And so I just, you know, when you're voting, it's coming up. I mean, it's already we're what, 30-something days away, 36 days away or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm. It's too soon.
You know, so you got, I mean, Mrs. Weedman's going to go through this list in states. And the biggest one right now, the biggest talk that it's fucking everybody's talking about this one.
Florida.
It's Florida. Amendment 3. I mean, this is huge. I mean, this is like, because they know how much, they know how much money this is going to bring in. And
DeSantis doesn't want it, cannabis now, because he's got money in hemp, and Trump wants cannabis. He resides in Florida. He sees the benefit of it, and
everybody else in between.
Everybody else.
I mean,
in between.
Republicans, Democrats are siding with one another to get this voted for. Democrats and Republicans are siding with one another to get this not pushed. There's major amounts of money. Probably when
they need the money right now.
Right, and so we're spending all this money on, but to get the vote in.
Right.
But that money they could have donated to the hurricane relief fund,
victims.
You know, and now there's wasted money. Mm-hmm. Probably close to $150 million that's been wasted to try to get this bill passed or not passed. If you're wasting money like this,
right, carelessly,
how much money? I mean, this is not just in Florida.
Just pass the damn
this
law.
Is across the fucking country. How much money we waste on
lobbying.
and also people paying
dancing circles around,
but also
and
people
spending
paying
more time than is needed to pass the law.
But also paying money to get voted in too. I mean, the Harris team, $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
That $1 billion could have went to the hurricane relief fund.
Well, Trump's probably spending about that too.
Whatever.
They all spend ridiculously.
Yeah. Probably $800 million, $900 million. Whoever, say close to $2 billion across the board, maybe $3 billion across the board with all the ads that are going on, not just for the president, for Congress, Senate, local government, mayors. How much money is wasted every year that could be used for something better?
Well, they don't feel it's wasted because they're trying to get their next paycheck.
It shouldn't even be allowed to spend that much money. It should be a cap.
All right, we're getting back to the topic here.
Tell us about
we're going to talk about election,
where to vote,
we're going to talk about
vote.
Cannabis. Less than a month out. We are creeping up on Election Day. The nation is deep in debates, and politicians are campaigning for every vote. But the people won't just be choosing their commander-in-chief this election. In many states, they'll also be voting on cannabis. Some advocates are making the push to legalize the plant, while others are hoping to reshape the weed industry and how it looks in their hometown. 4 states are voting on some form of legalization in November, including Florida, Nebraska, and the Dakotas. In Oregon, voters are considering a measure regarding unions, and one Colorado town is hoping to finally welcome recreational stores within the city limits. Meanwhile, one Texas town hopes to decriminalize possession. So let's cover a quick guide to cannabis elections and what to watch around the United States. Nebraska. Nebraskans for medical marijuana collected enough signatures to bring two cannabis initiatives to a vote this year: the Patient Protection Act, Initiative 437, and the Regulation Act, Initiative 438, could effectively legalize the plant and begin the framework for business operations. If 437 passes, healthcare practitioners could grant written recommendations to medical patients. Those with prescriptions would be legally allowed to carry up to 5 ounces of cannabis. Voter approval of 438 would enact a statute granting licensed businesses the right to possess, distribute, deliver, and dispense weed without penalty. It also establishes a Nebraska Medical Cannabis Coalition to regulate the space. Florida. The race for legalization has been contentious in Florida as the Republican governor and GOP presidential nominee disagree on the preferred outcome. Florida Amendment 3 hopes to legalize the possession of 3 ounces or less for adults. The public infighting has been deemed media-worthy, but the vote ultimately comes to the people. Since it is a constitutional amendment, it must receive 60% approval to pass. In 2017, Florida voters approved medical cannabis with a 71% vote and 29% voting against, indicating that a positive result may be possible. At the moment, polling shows that the vote could go either way.
Come on, people, go vote.
South Dakota. Cannabis advocates are talking about another shot at legalization after a similar measure failed to pass in 2022. South Dakota Measure 29 seeks to legalize the possession of 2 ounces of flower, 16 grams of concentrates, and 1,600 milligrams in edible form. The measure also legalizes growing up to 6 plants in a private locked space not visible to the public. Employers would not have to accommodate cannabis consumers, and they would maintain the right to have company-wide rules against weed. June polling showed that not much had changed with voters since 2022, with 52% of South Dakotans expected to vote against the measure. At that time, 7% remained undecided. North Dakota. Cannabis advocates in North Dakota, many of which are medical cannabis business owners, have gathered enough signatures to get weed on the ballot again this year. If approved, the measure would allow individuals to possess an ounce of weed, 4 grams of concentrate, and 300 milligrams of edible products. People could legally grow 3 plants per person and a max of 6 per household.
There you go.
Recent polling shows that 45% of voters are currently in favor of Measure 5, 40% are against it, and 15% remain undecided. Oregon. Oregon legalized adult use in 2014, with sales starting the following summer. Since then, industry success has ebbed and flowed. Now voters have a chance to weigh in on how it operates. Oregon Measure 119 would require cannabis business owners to submit labor peace agreements to the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission, the OLCC, when applying for or renewing their licenses. This agreement serves as a promise to remain neutral in the event employees decide to unionize. Colorado Springs, Colorado. While those states enact changes at a large scale, those in Colorado Springs are playing out their own mini drama. The Rocky Mountain state legalized cannabis in 2012, but recreational dispensaries remain illegal within Colorado Springs city limits. Advocates collected enough signatures to pose ballot question 300 to voters. This would effectively allow all medical dispensaries to turn over to recreational use and set a limit for the amount of stores that would be allowed. The city council has spoken against that question and added ballot question 2D. This would amend the town charter to prohibit any adult use dispensaries. Basically, if both pass, there would still be no recreational shops.
What?
Crazy. Cannabis is legal in over 20 United States, with more likely after this big election. There is no vote too small, with eyes fixed on the big races like Florida Amendment 3 and small-time votes like the soap opera unraveling in Colorado Springs equally. Polling can provide insight, but at this point, only time will tell which way voters will swing on weed.
Swing to the left, swing to the right.
Yeah, that Colorado Springs issue.
And we like Colorado Springs,
Yeah.
too. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's just really nuts. Hey, we like
Wacky.
that joint up.
I will,
I'd like to give Ralph Wiley another toast before we go.
if you insist.
Yeah. International news. Safe places could be designated for the use of cannabis. The Cannabis Authority of Malta is looking into the introduction of designated places where people can consume weed. It also exploring the possibility of allowing licensed association to sell other forms of cannabis currently available on the black market as a strategic move to combat the illicit market. Spain introduces draft royal decree to regulate medical cannabis. Spanish patients could soon have access to medical cannabis as a regulatory push forward with the new bill. However, its use is expected to be strictly limited to specific medical conditions, highlighting the cautious approach being taken. Everybody take a smoke break. Smoke break, smoke break.
Smoke break.
Smoke break. Yay, smoke break.
Puff, puff, pass.
That's not the ending of the show.
Yeah, we're still here.
We're still
don't
good.
leave. Don't leave.
Everybody think I knows now. If I don't say Paulie always says smoke
Yeah.
smart, the show's not over yet. Thank you, Ralph Wiley. EU Court of Justice gives green light to the indoor hemp cultivation. Italy lags behind. In today's ruling, it is clarified that cultivation in hydroponic hemp systems is legal unless empirically evidence testifies to public health risk. According to the EU Court of Justice, member states cannot ban hemp cultivation in indoor hydroponic systems. The only limitations is to respect for public health, that is, compliance with the legal limit of THC not exceeding 0.2%. Celebrating Medical Cannabis Awareness Week 2024. Guess where? Guess where? In the UK. Clinics collaborative for a series of nationwide events to celebrate and discuss medical cannabis in the UK. Here is where where these events are taking place. Edinburgh, which is on the 5th of November of 2024. London, which is on the 6th of November of 2024. And Cardiff on the 7th of November 2024. So everybody out there in the UK, if you're into the medical cannabis or want to get more medical cannabis and want to try to push it, go learn a little bit about more. Go to one of those 3 events if they're close enough by. Go check them out. So Poland nearly doubles medical cannabis import limits for 2024 as demand continues to surge. Poland is set to nearly double its medical cannabis import limits for 2024, responding to a significant rise in demand for cannabis-based treatments. The chief pharmaceutical inspector, GIF, announced that the annual import cap will increase from 6 tons to over 11 tons. That's a lot of weeds. Yeah, that's a lot of weeds, reflecting an increase in estimated demand by more than 5.2 million grams. That's a lot of weeds.
Are they growing in their own country too, or just
a lot of
importing?
imports. Oh. Yeah, just like Germany, biggest importer of one of the biggest importers of cannabis in the world. This surge is attributed to growing patient base, like we talked about in the last episode. They went from like 2,000 people to 260,000 people. The legalization of electronic prescriptions and increased public awareness about the effects of medical cannabis. Despite the rising limits, challenges remain in the supply chain, as many import permits have gone unfilled due to overestimations by businesses. Approximately half of the previously issued permits have not been filled, which has caused delays in supplying patients with the necessary medical cannabis. Canadian Medical Cannabis Clinics launches 3,000 participant study into emerging cannabis treatments. Canadian Medical Cannabis Clinic, Santa Cannabis, has started recruitment for a new study assessing the effectiveness of various cannabis treatment plans. Specifically, it will explore the efficiency of emerging cannabis treatments in product formats, including capsules, tablets, sublingual options, alongside newer cannabinoids like CBN and CBD. Japan releases more details on the upcoming CBD regulations, but the key issue remains unaddressed. Japan's upcoming CBD regulations, effective December 12, 2024, impose stringent THC limits, 10 parts per million for raw materials and CBD oils, and 1 part per million for edibles. The guidelines aim to clarify product characterizations aimed the growing demand for CBD, though several critical issues such as labeling and quality assurance remain unresolved. The government is working to finalize these regulations to support burgeoning industry while ensuring consumer safety. Crazy. That's crazy. That's CBD. There's no harm in it.
Right.
It's crazy. Japan, come on. Come on now. You should have like social clubs where people can go smoke weed.
Yeah.
You should. Got a lot of people probably that want it, you know? All those K-pop stars, right? Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
On the road again.
I can't wait to get on the road again.
Smoke some doobies.
With my friends.
And make some music with my friends. I can't wait to get back on the road again. Willie Nelson urges Dallas voters to decriminalize marijuana at the ballot next month. Tell us about it, Mrs. Weedman.
Cannabis icon and music legend Willie Nelson is urging voters in Dallas to pass a marijuana decriminalization measure that will appear on their local ballots in November. Marijuana is an herb and a flower, not a crime, Nelson said in a press release distributed by Ground Game Texas, which is organizing a cannabis campaign on Friday. Proposition R in Dallas is about fairness and freedom. It's long past time to end the criminalization of weed in Texas, and I'm proud to support Ground Game Texas in their efforts. Vote for Prop R, and let's move forward together, he said. If approved, the initiative would prevent Dallas police from making arrests or issuing citations for Class A or B misdemeanor cannabis possession offenses, unless it's part of a high-priority felony investigation for narcotics or violent crime. Further, it says, Dallas police shall not consider the odor of marijuana or hemp to constitute probable cause for any search or seizure. The city manager and chief of police would be required to prepare quarterly reports on the implementation of the policy change, with information about any marijuana possession arrests or citations that would be submitted to the Dallas City Council. Voters in the Texas cities of Lockhart and Bastrop will also decide on local marijuana decriminalization initiatives next month. We are honored to have Willie Nelson's support for the Dallas Freedom Act, Katina Vollinger, executive director of Ground Game Texas, said on Friday. Like far too many Texans, Willie knows firsthand how much a weed possession charge can disrupt a life. We're grateful for his years of advocacy for common sense reform, and we look forward to continuing this work across Texas. Numerous marijuana decriminalization measures have already been enacted in cities across the Lone Star State in recent years. They generally prevent police from making arrests or issuing citations for Class A or B misdemeanor cannabis possession offenses. I'm repeating a paragraph again. Unless it's part of a high-priority felony investigation. Ay, ay, ay. That
Ralph Wiley, you.
Advocates scored a win in San Marcos in July after a Texas district judge dismissed a lawsuit from the state's Republican attorney general that sought to overturn a local decriminalization ordinance in that city. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton filed a lawsuit in January challenging local decriminalization laws that were enacted in 5 cities that included Austin, San Marcos, Killeen, Elgin, and Denton. A different district judge had overturned the suit in Austin in June. Governor Greg Abbott has separately lashed out against the municipal cannabis reform efforts. Local communities such as towns, cities, and counties, they don't have the authority to override state law, the governor said in May. If they want to see a different law passed, they need to do the work with their legislators. He said it would lead to chaos and create an unworkable system for voters in individual cities to be picking and choosing the laws they want to abide by under state statute. Abbott has previously said that he doesn't believe people should be in jail over marijuana possession, although he mistakenly suggested at that time that Texas had already enacted a decriminalization policy to that end. Paxton has used more inflammatory rhetoric when his office announced that it was suing the 5 cities over their local laws decriminalizing marijuana, vowing to overrule the anarchy of pro-crime extremists who advocated for the reform. Oh my God. In November, Ground Game released a report that looked at the impacts of the marijuana reform laws. It found that the measures will keep hundreds of people out of jail, even as they have led to blowback from law enforcement in some cities. The initiatives have also driven voter turnout by being on the ballot, the report said. Meanwhile, a poll released last month found that a strong bipartisan majority of Texas voters support decriminalizing marijuana, and people say they want to reduce restrictions on cannabis in the Lone Star State. At the state level last year, the Texas House of Representatives passed a series of bills to decriminalize marijuana, facilitate expungements, and allow chronic pain patients to access medical cannabis as an opioid alternative. But they ultimately stalled out in the Senate, which has been a theme for cannabis reform measures in the conservative legislature over several sessions. 3 in 5 Texans, including a plurality of Republicans, support legalizing marijuana, according to a survey released in May. Another poll released in 2022 found that nearly 3 in 4 Texas voters, or 72%, support decriminalizing marijuana. More than half, or 55%, meanwhile, said they're in favor of broader legalization, and 17% said it shouldn't be legal at all. What the heck? Freaking policies. Make this shit happen. People want it.
Policies.
The people are speaking. Let them be heard.
Policies.
Bullshit.
Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
That's the end of the show.
It is.
Got anything else to say?
Well, I want to just say that we are praying for and really thinking heavy about all of the people that have been in the path of these past hurricanes. I mean, there's ongoing flooding. There's people that have lost everything they own. And this is not a new occurrence. There's fires going on in other places. There's bad shit happening. There's wars. There's a lot of bad shit. So I don't know. Whoever it is, like we said earlier, whoever it is that you kind of think to, whoever your power is to be, speak up to that person and let's keep pushing for peace.
Yeah.
That's all we can do.
Mm-hmm.
Kindness and peace. I don't know.
Doesn't hurt.
Be it, and hope that...
be the change.
Yeah. Yep.
Go out there and get lost living. I'm going to steal one from my brother. Get lost living or get lost dying. One or the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go have some fun out there, peeps. Go live some life. Go enjoy. Go get some fresh air. Smoke some weed. Love the person you love. Ms. Weedman, I love you.
Love you.
I hope you don't get mad at me because you're going to get a lot of loves and a lot of kisses and a lot of hugs. So we love you all out there. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you all around the world. We really do.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
We love you out there. Reach out. Say hi. We'll say hi back. Be kind. Love one another each and every day. As Paulie always says, smoke smart. Puff, puffing away.
Puff, puff, pass.
Check out our cannabis lifestyle brand online at 8decades.com. Our custom smokes and accessories are perfect for your coffee table, bedroom nightstand, or kitchen counter. They're designed for you to show them off. The Canna community is also loving our hemp and cotton blend t-shirts, sweatshirts, scarves, and hats, finished off with our 8 Decades logo. We've got some awesome long-lasting goods that will be your favorite for years to come. 8 Decades, because a 9th decade of cannabis prohibition isn't acceptable.